Hi. So thank you for coming in today.
Of course.
What's your name?
I'm Monica.
Monica, okay. And I'm Allie, and I'm going to be doing your interview today.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. So just first of all, to get a little bit of background, how old are you?
I'm 30.
Okay, and are you single?
I'm recently married.
Oh, cool. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I was just going to first of all start off with your family. So tell me a little bit, your mom, dad, brothers, sisters.
I grew up with my parents and my brother in New York, and my brother is a couple years older than me. Always kind of been the more loved child, but it's fine. We're close. We're very close. He's one of my best friends. But there always has been like a lot of competition between us, and I always feel like I'm kind of living in his shadow. But I was always kind of a little tougher than him growing up, so I guess I picked on him. But yeah, my childhood was interesting. I had a lot of weight issues and recently got over them, but my parents always kind of I feel like they judged me for that a little bit. So now that I've gotten over that, I feel like I have to be perfect all the time, kind of, in their eyes. But we still have a good relationship. We're still close. They come visit a lot, so it's good. Yeah.
It's interesting. You mentioned a lot about how close you are, but a lot of feelings of inadequacy. So tell me a little bit about the weight issues, first of all. What was the nature of those?
I was very, very overweight as a child. And then I guess after college is when I kind of started to get in shape and realize it. But I don't think that that's what affects me now. I'm completely past it. It's not a recurring mental, it doesn't bring me any anxiety in that form. I guess I'm proud of it, getting over that. I'm also a chef, so I get to control more. I like to feel in control about everything, and so what I eat especially.
Okay, so when you say that, do you like to cook for yourself, or is it more of just knowing what's in the food?
I think it's everything. Me cooking the food helps me control what goes in, and then cooking it helps me control portion size, and controlling what everyone else around me eats as well is just...
So do you think that's part of what led you to become a chef, or is that...
I think so. I think because the part of my weight issues was an obsession with food, and so I've always liked food, and I've always liked to cook, and so using that to get over my weight issues was just kind of the path I chose to take.
Okay,
yeah.
That's good. Well, okay. And so you mentioned a close relationship with your brother as well. So tell me a little bit about him. Does he also live in New York?
Yep, we live very close. We have most of the same friends. He has a very good job. He has a good social life. We interact a lot. Some say we might spend too much time together, but I guess when you grow up together, you just become best friends, and it's good to have him around.
I'm glad to hear it. Okay, and now let's move to your husband. So you say you recently got married. Has that been a positive change for you? Or you?
Yes, I think so. It was kind of stressful at first because we were best friends and then we didn't want anyone to know, and so it kind of was a secret for a while, which was very stressful for me. But now that everything's good and we're finally married, and I think it's working out very well.
So coming back to your control issues, how was planning the wedding for you? Was it difficult?
Very, very stressful. There were too many things. I felt so out of control that I almost just didn't want it to happen anymore.
Okay.
Feeling out of control makes me feel so helpless and useless. And so I pretty much planned it myself. And I tried to incorporate my husband's opinions, but mostly they were wrong.
So how does he feel about that? Has that impacted your relationship? Have you noticed that?
I think that because we were so close before, he kind of knew what he was getting into.
Okay.
So I hope not.
Is that part of what brought you in though, the control issues? Do you find that negatively impacting?
I think it just I want to learn to be more go with the flow, and I don't know how to, because I've always been allowed to be in control, and the having things my way just makes me so much calmer that when they're not, it gives me really high anxiety, and I don't want to feel that way. But I don't know how to not feel that way if I'm not in control.
So are there any coping mechanisms you've come up with that help you calm down in those moments?
Reorganizing things and cleaning, it makes me feel more in control because it's my space and I know where things go. And so if other people try and do it differently, it's not good and it really stresses me out.
Okay.
So those kind of things help me.
They calm you down
Yeah.
in the moment. Okay, so first of all, is this your first time seeking help? Okay, and have you been diagnosed with anything?
No.
On any medications?
No.
Anything? Okay. And coming back to your family again for a moment, do they have any history of mental illness? Anything there?
No, both of my parents are pretty high strung anxiety-wise, but never, like, diagnosed.
Okay.
I think my mom used to take some kind of, like, relaxation kind of thing, but it wasn't, like, prescribed by a doctor. It was way back when, so who knows? She's crazy. But yeah, they're pretty high strung, and my brother is too, just kind of always, like, amped up, and so that's probably where I get a lot of it. But no, like, diagnosed family illness or anything.
So it sounds like you grew up, though, in a pretty stressful environment. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Any examples? Anything that stands out to you?
It was always just, like, everything has to be my mother's way, and then she was always, like, really thin, so the fact that I wasn't, I think, made us have, like, a more distant relationship, which is why I've always, like, wanted to be more like my brother or looked up to him and lived in his shadow. But I mean, that makes it sound like I'm not close with my parents and, like, it was resentful, but it wasn't in any way. It was just, like, I always felt like I had to do better to, like, impress them, which might not have been true. It's just how I felt.
Okay, yeah, I hear you saying a lot about how you feel very close to them, but also you just kind of feel like you're almost judged by them constantly, and that's an interesting way to feel. So do you think that's kind of contributed along with the stressful environment to how you're feeling
Definitely.
now? Okay, that makes sense.
And then also, like, I didn't have a whole lot of friends in high school. I had, like, a couple close ones, and my brother was one of them, and then my parents were too, so it was a lot of family time.
Okay.
So that definitely
So a lot of time in a stressful environment, it sounds like. So also, you mentioned now that your brother is a part of your social circle. Can you tell me a little bit more about your other friends, what a typical day looks like?
We're very close. Two of my closest friends live right across the hall from my husband and I, so we're always together. When we're not working, we spend all the time together. So it's a good support system, and they try to keep me grounded, but they also, like, know that I like to be in control, and they kind of let me, which I think is just contributing to how I can't not be in control.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like you're in control because you can be and you want to be. So do they know, other than that you are a controlling person, that you're suffering from any distress, or?
I don't. If they do, they haven't said anything.
Okay.
I don't think I'm, like, visually, like, physically distressed about it. It's just, like, in the back of my mind, like, I shouldn't be this anxious and, like, obsessive about things, but I can't help it.
Okay, and then so when you find yourself in an argument with your husband or with your friends, do you tend to respond emotionally extremely, or do you find you're in control of your emotions as well as your environment, or just a little?
More in control of my emotions because I'm mostly right in these arguments, and it's mostly about, like, trivial things that really don't matter. So I tend not to get too upset. I don't let myself really, because I feel out of control if I do get too upset. So that's, like, something that I, like, keep in check.
So it sounds like you sort of numb out your emotions even if you might be feeling them?
I guess, yeah. I mean, I still feel them, I just, like, don't show them.
Okay, so how do you tend to channel them, if not with expression?
If I'm, like, upset or anxious about something, I tend to cook a lot.
Okay.
And I think my friends appreciate that because they eat the food, so they don't, like, discourage it. So, yeah.
So it sounds like cooking's a big hobby of yours. Do you have any other hobbies, any other passions?
Hanging out with friends kind of de-stresses, and just, like I said, cleaning. And I like to plan things, so I was one of my good friend's wedding planners for her, which for a period I wasn't. She got too stressed out by my, like, controlling, and I tried to make too many decisions for her. But I learned my lesson, and that was definitely, like, a grounding moment.
Yeah, it sounds like that negatively impacted your relationship in that sense.
Well, yeah, we got over it, we talked about it, and it kind of helped me see that, like, my obsessions and my need to be in control, like, was affecting others, and that's, like, when I knew I like had a problem.
And how long ago was that?
Like 2 years ago.
2 years. Okay, so you've been dealing with this for 2 years without help.
Well, I've always kind of been like this,
Okay.
like anxious and high strung. It's just more recently I've realized how it's affecting others.
And that's what's really propelled you,
Mhm.
other than it affecting you, though.
Right.
So you've just been living with it. Okay. So now, moving quickly, have you ever been abused physically,
Nope.
sexually?
No.
Okay. And any emotional abuse in your relationship now?
Not at all.
Really? Okay. I'm glad to hear it. You seem very happy with him.